Hello, beautiful souls. And for those of you that are new here, hi, my name is Erica Ann. I am a psychic medium divine channel, twin flame divine feminine, psychology major, sociology minor, human rights activist, a little bit of all the things, love, light, and lunacy. Welcome. Today I'm actually going to be discussing a really important topic, several topics that tie into destiny swapping. What this means for twin flames and ascending. What destiny swapping feels like for me feels like I've had two lives, maybe more than that, but like two distinct chapters now. Previous part of my life was one where I seemingly, was striving for and gaining everything that society would think was appropriate, right, for a young lady. The partner, good job, children, being a good mother and wife, the whole package sort of thing for that small town girl, but I was never understood, never seen. And it's because I wasn't seeing who I was, right? I just was slowly losing myself while I was part of a narrative that fit everyone else. But it fit them because I was supplying other people with my energy, with my ideas, with my talents, my love, and I never received it back, right? In the way that it actually validated me for who I was versus what people thought I was or wanted me to be, etc. And now I'm in this other chapter of my life completely where I see exactly who I am and I'm unlocking more of who I really am every single day, right? And the new people that are coming into my life are seeing me for who I am and validating me, real-time feedback. But I lost everything that came with my previous chapter of my life, all the links that came with my old life. And it feels rewarding to be able to say that, like, I've returned back to myself, to who I've really always been and destined to be, to my purpose. But there's a gap, right? And that's part of what a destiny swap is. So you need to understand that destiny swapping is a very spiritual thing. It's not something that's originated on the earthly plane. It's from the spiritual plane. So all these people, the dark agenda, right? The people that though have played in your 3D life that have plotted against you, most of them aren't even necessarily aware what they're doing because they're not here with all their higher self psyche, their soul. This is why we see most of them playing out as narcissistic karmics on this path because they're so low vibrational, they're easy to use as puppets, essentially. And so they're just serving a purpose that kind of they're being used for, that's why I say evil, right? And so one sure way you'll know that you're dealing with this is if, for one, you never fit in your surroundings. But for two, you see people around you with half the skills, half the talent, gaining success and recognition for the same things you're doing. And it's starting to make you wonder, like, wait, that person, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we started at the same time, for example, or like, I've mastered X, Y, and Z, and that person hasn't. This is somebody who's getting a lot of recognition for something that they're not even great at, like, what the heck is going on? And so there's many examples of this in society. One, for several of my personal, would be what's happened to me over the last several years. And so it started before I was even conscious what was going on with bosses who even to this day now are still gaining success off of talent and ideas they stole from me, right? And another example is I literally started a business this last summer or 2023 I started actually. A really successful taxi company called Twin Taxi in Alberta. And I knew because I read in my cards already at that time that there was a really big potential that my partners would really stab me in the back. And if they did, the whole thing would tank. I'm like, well, let's see then. That's exactly what happened. We went out of the gate. I had that so successful. As soon as they tried to steal, it did steal from me and cut me out, forged my signatures on documents to cut me out. They lost everything in like a month. And so sometimes it's just little things like favors though, right? Like people asking you to, always asking you for advice, for example, like, can you write something to help me impress this girl or impress my boss, right? Can you help me do my resume? Just like even little things. It's you attaching your energy to all these other people's success and blessings. And these people are really using your talents, gifts, and insights to unlock their path forward. So people that you work for usually is a big one in the 3D, right? These people are relying on what you can provide for them and presenting it outwards and further up to have all these doors opening up for them. and they're progressing in their life because all these things are just being handed to them. And I'm not saying that they're all bad people, it's just how this game is being played, okay? So whereas because you have principles, chosen ones, anointed ones, twin flames, you want to focus on your own journey. You know, you're not going to be using the shortcuts, let's call it that in the game of life to benefit yourself, because most of all, you don't see a benefit in lying to people in order to progress. And another thing that happens when you are dealing with a destiny swap is essentially the world around you is a mirror to who you are. So when you're made of light, when you're made of pure light, you have a kind heart, you want to help people, your mirror should be people that are kind-hearted, people that are loving, people that, you know, move in unison with you. When there's a destiny swap, you'll find yourself around energy that's shifty, you know, like you're this light, you're this person that's emanating this light, but people are repelled by you because they don't see you for this light. They see you for the shadows that surround you because of the feedback of other people, because of how other people have already given word about you before your arrival, or spiritually, they're already teamed up with others. You know, everybody's life is different. So I'm not saying there's a formula for how that you should live your life. But when you're dealing with a destiny swap, especially on this twin flame path, you're going to feel like you're behind in life. And in some ways you will be behind in life on a societal basis because other people have been consistently benefited from having you in their vicinity. They've used your presence for them to unlock the paths for themselves, which is the mentality that, you know, you see with a lot of young people, like success at all costs, which is a mentality that they got from their parents, which is a mentality that they got from their grandparents, right? So on. And so we're supposed to be ending that, especially as the 144, twin flames, chosen ones, preserving your integrity, your values, not doing stuff at the expense of hurting somebody else, other people. So what I'm talking about, like people doing whatever it takes, you know, like think about people that like are constantly stressing, like you have to impress this person, this boss, you have to impress this woman, you know, you have to make sure that your parents approve of this woman, you know, all of these 3D based societal standards and programming that were designed to brainwash us, designed to disempower us, designed to confuse us. A destiny swap takes you away from who you are. So when you find yourself on the other side, you know, back to yourself, back to who you are, you will feel like you've lost something, and what you've lost is a portion of your life. If people played with you through spiritual warfare, is exactly what it is, that there's a timeline, you know, from which a time period for where you can ascend, you know, in order for you to be of service and to accomplish certain goals. And so people are the most vulnerable at that time. Well, when they're kids as well, of course, when you're young, you're more susceptible to the messages of society. But as you're about to approach a twin flame union or a spiritual ascension, everything's going to try to block you from that because they need to block you from your higher self and your purpose. So you have to look back, you know, to look at years where you were surrounded by situations, people, places, and narratives that aren't or weren't a match for you. And as you move into this next stage, when you look back on these periods, you're going to think and feel like I really have no one left from that old chapter. And that's good because they were never meant to come forward. If they are moving forward with you, so like in this case of a twin flame connection, you know, that's different. And sometimes there's even some of our higher level soul connections that, you know, seem karmic, that, you know, will in some way or another progress depending on what was meant for each individual soul as part of the group. But you know, this is something that I don't think I've really ever heard of talked about at all in this entirety. And so when you start to put things into perspective and understand, you know, how you can label these people, now that you're on the other side of this destiny swap, you'll realize that there's a lot that you've missed, but now there's a lot of opportunities that you can do this now again or for the first time, regardless of what age you are. But it's important to take a minute to grieve that what was lost in that avalanche that was trying to bury you along with your calling, but it didn't. You're here, and I promise the best is yet to come. So how do you reverse this destiny swap? Is something that, you know, is probably the most common thing that anybody that finds themselves in the situation would want to know. And it's pretty easy, actually. Just continue living your life for you. Pure authenticity. reconnecting with your higher self, with your soul. A destiny swap is intended to do one thing and one thing only, and it's important for you to remember that, to keep you disconnected from yourself, so that you are worshiping false idols, false mirrors. You're worshiping the people around you. You're supplying them with your energy, with your talents, with your gifts. The moment that you reconnect with your higher self, game over. One of the most amazing things that has ever happened in my life when I returned home to me, after majority of my life wandering and thinking like this is it, and then as I started to progress, okay, no, this is my new place now, right? These are my people. Nope, shifting, and everything fell apart. And I wasn't able to find anywhere. I'm still sort of in that position, I guess, geographically, but not really, because now I understand my purpose for my moves and stuff. And so I wasn't able to find peace before. I kept moving, and I couldn't find this middle ground because it didn't exist for me, because it wasn't found within me yet, and I was supposed to create this. And so when I returned back home to me, that's when my spiritual gifts, right, started to come online in big ways, in ways that my old, not aligned, not awakened self, whatever you want to label that as, right, she didn't have access to these gifts. And I feel like, the people around me at that time, it's like they were like alerted, spiritually speaking, that like I was going to be receiving that or had already received it, right? And so it very much triggered them, and they treated me in ways that are just insane on a 3D perspective. And I believe it's a more all part of the broader of the spiritual purpose. And because of my spiritual gifts and their lack of seeing me ever in my truth, it's like they really were, it's impossible for them to understand that I'm this psychic, or I'm this gifted, or maybe that I always was. And so it really makes you analyze, all the relationships in your life. Like, these people think that I was lying to them, right? Because they knew me as this version of them that they had created in the first place, right? But really, I've always been, this earthly evolved kind of person, pretty smart, loving to learn, always above the average, intelligence, I feel, or go through to some degree. And it's because you're meant to realize that is not for you. And some people be like, well, it's everyone in my life. That's what this message is. You have to break free from the pack, from the people that want to keep you stuck. Sometimes it's every one of our family members. It's not always, but like sometimes it is. And you have to, like I did, take a lot of risks. I had to take a lot of trust falls with the universe, but I had absolutely no one else I could trust in the 3D. And in some degree, there really isn't anybody, but there's still certain things that I'm processing. And so there's a lot that I go through that I can't even share, and I haven't shared with you guys, and I can't share with anyone in the 3D, right? It's interesting. We'll just call it that. But so the best way to reverse a destiny swap is to just keep going on your path forward. Trust your inner guidance, and that's it. There's going to be people that'll come along your path. Some are going to be repelled, and some are going to be there specifically to try to deter you, and it's not going to make any conscious sense, especially right before a twin flame union. You're going to have all of these 3D opportunities pop up that are going to do their best to continue to keep you from your higher self, because they know that once you're there, game over, and then you'll start to see and notice that you'll see this in other people now. You'll see these beautiful, talented people that have been really oppressed. And you're going to be like, how come these people aren't famous? How come these people aren't this and that? And it's because of this destiny swapping that's been going on. And so everyone needs to realize that, like, coming into alignment with you is the most important thing that you could ever do. And then you got to stick to that alignment day after day. Because once you make it to the other side of the destiny swap, there's no going back to the people that were part of your past, unless, they ascend and they go through their own transformation, their own ascension, right? And maybe one day. But if you've been the one that was just been having to like go through the motions of life around, people that you don't feel connected to, you're going to be called to separate from those people, because you're going to need to make these connections now with the people that are truly aligned with you and who you were truly meant to be and where you're meant to go and with who. For the kicker with me, I kind of always knew who I was. I did get lost for a bit, but the ultimate definition of who I am hasn't really changed. Yes, I've changed in the sense that I've developed myself. I have channeled my potential and continue to channel my potential. And I know that I am going through transformation towards my highest a most abundant life, and I'm entering that, you know. And so I know that my purpose, I know that even if I have to continue to go through some storms and seasons in my life where the spiritual warfare is increasing, and then, you know, I have to go through a little bit of depression from time to time, a little mental health turbulence, I know that the divine has me. And if you see me giving up, that's not me. They've cloned me. You know, that part of me hasn't changed. I'm determined. I'm strong. I'm resilient. And it's one of the, you know, most important aspects of, I think, who I am, my strength, my resilience, which has never changed, I don't think, since I was a small child. You know, I've gone through a lot of storms that only I know of, and some that might be regarded as not big on the outside to some people and quite large to others. But I've gone through years, not seasons, years, where I've been literally alone in this world. And that hasn't really shifted drastically. Even when I've been surrounded by people, you know, I have always had a unique connection with the divine, with my higher self, that brings me a lot of insights about the world, people around me, what's here, what's to come, what's happened, you know, manipulations that are happening on earth and happened on earth. That knowledge, I've always been connected to it, but now it's deeper, right? You call it God, the divine source, my higher self. You know, I've only strengthened that connection because of this trust, this faith that I've had in the unknown, in my higher self over the last several years. But this relationship has also made it really hard for me to have relationship with people outside too, because most people don't have the relationship that I have with the divine. People don't understand that. And in order for the divine to trust you with this type of guidance, you have to make peace with being alone, with walking quiet paths so that you can allow yourself to receive this information and then share it forward. One thing that's made a really big impression on me, though, has been the amount of jealousy that I've experienced on my path. You know, and it's always baffled me. I don't get it. I don't understand that energy of jealousy, really. You know, I do remember going through periods of my unawakened self where I had bouts of jealousy, right? But not really, and it was mostly because of, you know, societal-based projections. You know, it's people that don't really do work on themselves. So, but I'm someone that's always tried to work on myself, you know, even in my worst. And so jealousy's always brought to me that this view that these people who are jealous, they're disconnected from themselves, right? They're disconnected from their higher selves. Doesn't matter if they want to call themselves the most enlightened human being in the world. The frequency of jealousy is a very unique and low vibration. You can feel that as you awaken. You can sense this energy now. You can kind of feel it, even if it's a completely stranger. As you develop, you know, your own spiritual sight and whatever, you can see who's watching you. Feel the energy, and you'll know these people are like, they're like obsessed, right? So obsessed with your path, with who you are. Maybe they can't even see you at all properly. They're just so obsessed with your spirit. It's like they want to destroy you, and some of them will try. And ultimately it's because they want to like wear your skin. Well, really, they want to wear your spirit. And that is the one thing that I don't think I've ever really understood. I don't think I'll ever really understand some of the people and the actions that they've done. But the advice that I can give, like, keep walking your path. The divine will make sure these energies just go away on their own. Trust me. And there's going to be, you know, a sadness attached to this realization that you've been targeted from the day that you've been born. This destiny swap targeting, which, you know, has bred this larger system of this dark agenda, but it's all been created to distract you, anointed chosen ones, twin flames, from your soul, from your purpose, from your higher calling, from your essence, and from your union with self. And then, you know, twin if you're a twin flame. This is something that's been placed on your life in the same way that your calling has been placed in your life. There's a reason that the most anointed and chosen souls on earth, as they say, are the most targeted. Because you souls are the ones that are usually pure light, pure love. Yes, don't get me wrong, a lot of you are like, I've done some shit, I'm tainted. That doesn't matter. At the core, you don't care how you give. You know that your path, you know, might have a specific purpose. Like me, I know I'm an advocate. I'm a disruptor. I go against the crowd. I go against most commonly held beliefs, which makes me a little bit of a, you know, rebel, black sheep. Sometimes I challenge people, and they would really misinterpret that as if I didn't love them, I didn't support them. But in order for you to be able to deliver the truth, to be a good leader and to challenge beliefs because it's what's right, because it's what the divine's guiding you to do, you have to be courageous. You have to have the courage to do that. And that will continue to bring you closer to the state of love with the divine. You're willing to see the things, say the things, do the things, 22, that other people aren't willing to do. you're willing to take off your rose-colored glasses and see the truth for what it is and spout that, because you're brave enough to take off the glasses, the illusion will dissipate. And that's because you know where the light is, because you found it within yourself. You know, and it's not to say that you want to like get rid of the whole human experience. Sometimes I feel that way, I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of people will falsely interpret your ascension, chosen ones, as just love and light, which is fucking bullshit. Your spiritual awakening is about seeing the truth for what it is, being honest with people and speaking the truth no matter what, doing what's right no matter what, even if it's the most difficult thing to do. Who else is going to do this? If you've been obstructed so much and targeted so much, who else is going to do it? You have the calling. You have to answer and honor that calling and walk the path that your higher self has chosen, or the divine has chosen for you from the moment you were born, onto this human plane as the person that you are today. You know, I talk about manifestation and stuff on this channel, but what I really mean and at the heart of this channel is purpose. You know, I'm well aware that there's lots of tools that people can use to help you interpret your purpose, right? Like astrology, numerology, you know, things that I've gone through, you know, as I was returning back home to myself, to tools that I've helped other people use, human design, you know, and gene keys. And I'm sure there's going to be more that are out there that I haven't mentioned, of course, but I understand that the quickest and best way to any of this is just being honest with yourself and with the world. Only you can speak to your higher self. Nobody, no tarot reader, no psychic, no channel, no astrologer, nothing can 24/7 connect you to your higher self, right? And so it's my hopes that those of you that are watching this video and following me understand that I have stepped into this role as spiritual advisor, coach, mentor, ascension guide, you know, but it's not to get you attached or addicted to me so that I can cipher energy like you'll see with all these false prophets. The only thing that I'm here to do is to demonstrate to you the power of returning home to yourself, which is the ultimate antidote to moving beyond a destiny swap. Any alterations upon your life that have tried and kept you in a lower timeline where you're not able to achieve your full potential. You'll never be able to ascend to a level where you can activate your spiritual gifts that will allow you to then to further progress. So mine came fast and hard. That's why I call myself a fast track ascension that I went through, because I had been in such an abusive relationship. You know, my vibration was so low, and I knew throughout the entirety of it that I just kept saying, like, I'm losing myself, and I just kept going downhill. And I still knew that eventually, like, I wanted to be happy and that I deserved that happiness, you know, and I would eventually be in a better place, but I was so depleted, I really stopped hearing my own inner voice at all. And so I just acquiesced myself too. And so for those of you that are like, I don't feel anointed, I don't feel chosen, I only feel targeted, maybe that's where you find yourself. You're just still coming home to you. You're realizing that you need to make changes, right? Because something's not right, and that starts with realizing that you got to stop caring what anybody thinks, because everyone around you has been keeping you trapped. And I'm not just saying like societal conditioning. Destiny swapping is your soul being targeted, you know? It's not you, the human. Yes, that's how it looks, because it's human people that are targeting you, but it's your spirit that's being targeted. And so, I know I've talked to a lot of people, and I've had a lot of questions that I've had to ask my own guides. Like, why am I doing this? You know, why am I delivering these messages? Why am I a channel? You know, why am I sharing things through tarot readings? You know, some people see that as witchcraft and whatever, which witchcraft too, they've had me trained on. So now I'm like, well, I thought witchcraft was evil. And then so they've led me, you know, into all the truth about that. And it's stuff that you have to go through for yourself. Each of us is different, has a different, you know, ancestral heritage, galactic heritage, soul heritage. And so with this inner healing is what you go through. This whole journey of ascension is all returning home to you. The ultimate ascension goal is union with the divine, God, which is your higher self, union with soul. And so on a twin flame journey, that's why they say it's just a really fast track ascension. The two of you are meant to both ascend and come into what's, you know, an even bigger energetic union. But initially, like, one or the other of you has to reach that union. You will pull the other one along, but in that interim, so if you're someone who sees that maybe your twin flame is more spiritually evolved than you, then this is your message that you need to get connected with yourself. Like, now. You got to stop everything until that's clear, because until you're clear with self and with your soul, you are still going to be manipulated and puppeted and in the midst of this destiny theft, right? And until you connect with self, you cannot take your power back. But the minute you do, there's no going back. They will never be able to take it from you. Once you are aligned and know exactly who you are, game over.